Hi, welcome to Mr. Otter Studio. Today we are going to find out what salt works best for the salt watercolor technique. Those of you that are familiar with it know that salt can make really cool patterns and textures in your watercolor paintings. I grabbed the three ones that I had in my kitchen: table salt, sea salt, and pink Himalayan salt. So let's see which one we should be using when we're painting. When you're trying to use the salt technique in your watercolor paintings, you need to make sure that your paint is still wet when you apply the salt. This technique will not work if it's dry. So make sure you're applying it to a wet area. So I mixed up this huge puddle. So I'm going to have this nice wet paint to apply the salt into. Tip number 2 is to let it dry. Just leave it alone after you put the salt in it and let it do its thing. All right, so since we have 3 different salts, I'm just going to divide this paper up into 3 sections. I'll use a little more water on the bottom and a little less towards the top so you can see the difference that makes. So in these different sections, we will have table salt, sea salt, and pink Himalayan salt. In the lower part of these washes, I used a lot more paint, and in the top, I just used enough to cover the surface area with, so you can see the difference in what happens in those different areas. Okay, now we're just gonna sit and let this do its thing. All right, so after about an hour, this is the results that we get. And when we zoom in on these, there's not a huge difference between them. Just looking at the results, I would say that the table salt did the best. That's this one right here. Just based on the crystals and how clear and crisp they were. In the larger areas though, I would say that the Himalayan salt and the sea salt did really well too. In the end, use what you have. Salt is salt. I would love to see images of artwork that you've made using this technique. Post them to our Instagram using hashtag Mr. Otter Studio or Mr. Otter Art Studio. And I hope you have a wonderful day.